Lower Manhattan, June 17, 1950. A man named David Greenglass sits at a table in a federal interrogation room. His hands shake, his voice cracks. And in the next 3 hours, he will destroy his own family. Outside that room, the FBI already knows the truth. They have been listening for years, decoding, tracking, watching ghosts move through America's most secret laboratories. But David does not know this yet. He thinks he is about to make a deal. He thinks he can save himself. He is wrong. Before this file closes, subscribe, because what you are about to hear was buried for decades, and it nearly ended the world. The year is 1945, August 6th, Hiroshima. The atomic bomb has just ended the war. President Truman stands before the press and announces America's ultimate weapon, the Manhattan Project, $2 billion, 130,000 workers, the most closely guarded secret in human history. And Joseph Stalin already knows everything. 3 days later, the Soviet premier sits in his office in Moscow. He does not look surprised. He does not ask questions. He simply nods and says, "We will have our own soon." His advisors are stunned. How does he know this? How can he be certain? Because for 4 years, Soviet intelligence has been inside the Manhattan Project. Not one spy, not two, an entire network, engineers, physicists, couriers, all moving through Los Alamos, Oak Ridge, and Chicago, all feeding blueprints, equations, and test results directly to Moscow. The operation is called Enormos, and the Americans have no idea it exists. Not yet, but 3,000 miles away, in a basement office in Arlington, Virginia, a team of cryptanalysts is about to change everything. They are breaking codes, Soviet codes, one letter at a time, one word at a time, one name at a time. They call it Venona, and it will expose the greatest espionage operation in American history. His name is Julius Rosenberg, born 1918, Lower East Side, New York, son of Jewish immigrants, electrical engineer, graduate of City College of New York, member of the Young Communist League since he was 19 years old. Julius does not hide his beliefs. He attends meetings. He reads Marx. He argues with professors. He believes capitalism is dying. He believes the Soviet Union represents the future of humanity. He believes the working class will inherit the earth. In 1939, he marries Ethel Greenglass. She is 24, secretary, aspiring actress. She shares his politics. She shares his vision. They are a team. Julius works as a civilian inspector for the U.S. Army Signal Corps. He evaluates radar equipment, fire control systems, communication devices. He has access to classified military technology. And in 1942, Soviet intelligence approaches him. The meeting happens in a park, Manhattan. A man sits down next to Julius on a bench. He does not introduce himself. He does not waste time with pleasantries. He says, "The Soviet Union is bleeding. 20 million dead. The fascists are at the gates of Moscow. America and Britain have the resources to end this war. But they delay. They wait. They let us die." Julius listens. The man continues, "We need help. Technical help. America is developing weapons, advanced weapons. Weapons that could end the war tomorrow, but your government hoards them, lets our soldiers die while yours sit in safety." Julius does not speak, not yet. The man leans closer. "You can help. You have access. You have skills. You can provide information that will save Soviet lives, that will defeat fascism, that will change history." He slides a folded newspaper across the bench. Inside, $500. Julius takes it. He does not hesitate. He does not agonize. He believes this is righteous. He believes this is necessary. He believes he is preventing American imperialism from dominating the world. He is now an agent of Soviet military intelligence. The GRU, His code name, Liberal. For the next 3 years, Julius Rosenberg builds a network, not through coercion, through ideology. He recruits true believers, engineers, technicians, scientists, people who think they are serving a higher cause. He meets them in parks, cafes, apartments. He explains the mission, he explains the stakes. He offers money, but most do not need it. They believe. Julius collects information on proximity fuses for anti-aircraft shells, radar systems for bombers, sonar technology for submarines, jet engine designs, fire control computers. He passes everything to his Soviet handler, Alexander Feklisov. Dead drops, brief meetings, encrypted messages, classic tradecraft. The Soviets are impressed. Julius is productive, disciplined, careful, but Feklisov wants more. He wants the crown jewel. He wants the atomic bomb. David Greenglass is not an idealist. He is not a philosopher. He is a 23-year-old machinist who wants to make his family proud. Born 1922, Lower East Side, Ethel's younger brother, high school graduate, enlisted in the Army in 1943. Assigned to Los Alamos, New Mexico in 1944. He does not know what Los Alamos is. No one does. It is a secret laboratory in the desert, surrounded by fences, guarded by soldiers. Scientists arrive and disappear into buildings. They do not talk about their work. David works in the machine shop. He builds components, molds, casings. He does not understand the physics, but he sees the blueprints. He handles the materials. He knows this is something big. And in November 1944, Julius Rosenberg comes to visit. They meet in Albuquerque. Julius and Ethel. They sit in a small diner. David orders coffee. Julius orders nothing. Julius does not waste time. He says, "David, I need to talk to you about something important." David listens. Julius continues, "You are working on something that could end the war, but the government is not sharing it with our allies. The Soviets are dying by the thousands every day. They need help. They need this information." David frowns. "Julius, this is classified. I could get court-martialed. I could go to prison." Julius slides an envelope across the table. Inside, $500. "This is for Ruth," Julius says, referring to David's wife, "to help with expenses. And there will be more, much more. You will be helping to end the war. You will be saving lives." David looks at the money. $500 is more than he makes in 3 months. He thinks about Ruth. He thinks about the bills. He thinks about the future. He says yes. Julius explains the arrangement. David will sketch the components he works on. He will write down specifications, dimensions, materials. He will memorize conversations he overhears from the scientists. He will not mail anything. He will not use the phone. He will wait for a courier. Julius says, "Someone will come to your apartment in Albuquerque. He will have half of a Jell-O box. You will have the other half. When they match, you will know he is from me." David laughs nervously. "A Jell-O box? That is ridiculous." Julius does not smile. "That is how you stay alive." David returns to Los Alamos. He begins watching, listening, sketching. He works on the high explosive lenses. These are the components that compress the plutonium core to achieve critical mass. The implosion mechanism, the heart of the bomb. David is not a physicist. He does not understand the nuclear reactions, but he understands engineering. He understands tolerances, pressures, geometries, and he draws everything. January 1945. David sketches a cross-section of the implosion lens assembly. 12 pages. Detailed annotations. Measurements accurate to the thousandth of an inch. He hides the sketches in his apartment. He waits. His name is Harry Gold, born 1910, Bern, Switzerland. Family immigrated to Philadelphia when he was 3 years old. Father worked in a factory. Mother cleaned houses. Harry was quiet, studious, invisible. He studied chemistry at the University of Pennsylvania. Graduated 1932, height of the Great Depression. No jobs, no prospects, family drowning in debt. In 1935, a man approached him at a meeting of the American Chemical Society. The man said he represented a Soviet trade organization. He needed help obtaining industrial chemical formulas, legal formulas, public information, just organized and summarized. He offered Harry $200. Harry said yes. The first assignment was simple, innocent. Harry summarized publicly available research on industrial solvents. He was paid. He was thanked. The second assignment was less innocent. Harry was asked to obtain proprietary formulas from his employer, trade secrets. He hesitated. But the money was good, and his family needed it. He said yes again. By 1940, Harry Gold was a full-time courier for Soviet intelligence. Code name, Goose. Later, Arno. He carried microfilm between Soviet handlers and American sources. He memorized names, locations, recognition signals. He never wrote anything down. He never used his real name at meetings. He lived alone. No wife, no children, no close friends. The perfect courier, invisible, forgettable, reliable. And in June 1945, his handler gives him the most important mission of his life. The orders are simple. Travel to Albuquerque, New Mexico. Knock on the door of apartment 209 High Street. A man named David will answer. Show him half of a Jell-O box. He will show you the other half. If they match, collect whatever he gives you. Harry catches a train west. He carries the torn Jell-O box in his pocket, raspberry flavor. He cut it himself with scissors in his Philadelphia apartment. He arrives in Albuquerque on June 3rd. It is hot, dry, dusty. He finds the address. He climbs the stairs. He knocks. David Greenglass opens the door. He is wearing an undershirt. Sweating. Nervous. Harry does not speak. He pulls out the torn Jell-O box half. Holds it up. David disappears into the bedroom. Returns with his half. They match. David hands Harry an envelope. Thick, heavy. Harry does not open it. He thanks David. He leaves. He boards a train back to New York. He delivers the envelope to his Soviet handler, Anatoly Yatskov, at a park bench in Queens. Yatskov opens the envelope. Inside, 12 pages of technical drawings. Cross-sections of the plutonium implosion device, dimensions, materials, assembly sequences. Yatskov reads in silence. When he finishes, he looks at Harry. There will be more, he says. Harry nods. Over the next 6 months, Harry Gold makes 3 more trips to Albuquerque. Each time, David provides more information. Sketches of the bomb casing, details about the initiator, notes from conversations with scientists. David is not the only source. Harry also meets with Klaus Fuchs. Klaus Fuchs is the most valuable spy in Feud's, the network, and the most dangerous. Born 1911, Rüsselsheim, Germany. Son of a Lutheran pastor, brilliant student, Ph.D. in physics, University of Leipzig, 1931. In 1933, the Nazis come to power. Fuchs is a communist. He flees to Britain. He completes a second Ph.D. at the University of Edinburgh. He works with Max Born. He publishes groundbreaking papers on quantum mechanics. He is recruited to work on the British atomic bomb project, codenamed Tube Alloys. In 1941, Britain shares its research with the United States. The Manhattan Project is born. Fuchs is invited to join. He is assigned to Los Alamos. He works directly with J. Robert Oppenheimer, Hans Bethe, Enrico Fermi, the greatest scientific minds of the 20th century, and he is a Soviet agent. Fuchs does not spy for money. He does not spy for fame. He spies because he believes nuclear weapons should not be monopolized by capitalist nations. He believes the Soviet Union, despite its flaws, represents the best hope for defeating fascism. He believes a balance of power prevents war. He believes sharing atomic secrets will create stability. He is ideologically pure, disciplined, careful, and he provides everything. From 1942 to 1945, Fuchs passes intelligence to Soviet handlers in New York, London, and later, Santa Fe. He provides the theoretical basis for both uranium and plutonium bombs. Detailed calculations for the critical mass of plutonium-239. The exact design of the Fat Man implosion device. Information about the gaseous diffusion process for enriching uranium. Results from the Trinity test, including yield estimates and blast radius data, production schedules, and stockpile projections. The information is so precise, so comprehensive, that when Soviet scientists later review it, they admit it saved them at least 4 years of research. Fuchs meets Harry Gold 4 times. The first meeting is in New York, February 1944. They sit on a bench on the Lower East Side. Fuchs hands Gold a manila envelope. Gold does not open it. He takes it to his handler. Inside, a complete summary of the Manhattan Project's progress. Everything Fuchs knows, everything he has access to, everything the Soviets need to start their own program. The second meeting is in Cambridge, Massachusetts, June 1945. Fuchs is on leave from Los Alamos. He meets Gold in a park, hands him another envelope. This one contains preliminary data from the Trinity test, scheduled for July. The third meeting is in Santa Fe, September 1945. Fuchs provides final calculations, yield estimates, damage assessments, post-detonation analysis. The fourth meeting is in London, February 1947. Fuchs has returned to Britain to work on their atomic program. He provides updates on British research, American cooperation, future plans. After that, Fuchs stops. Not because he has a crisis of conscience, but because his handler is recalled to Moscow during Stalin's purges. Fuchs waits for a new contact. The contact never comes, but the damage is done. Arlington, Virginia, 1943. In a nondescript building on Lee Highway, a team of U.S. Army cryptanalysts begins a project that will remain secret for 50 years. It is called Venona. The goal: decrypt Soviet intelligence cables sent between Moscow and its stations in New York, Washington, San Francisco, and other cities. The cables use one-time pad encryption, theoretically unbreakable. Each message is encrypted with a unique, random key that is used once and destroyed. Without the key, the message is gibberish. But the Soviets make a mistake. During World War II, under pressure to communicate quickly and efficiently, Soviet intelligence begins reusing one-time pads. Not frequently, not obviously, but enough. And that is the crack. The work is slow, tedious, maddening. A single cable can take months to partially decrypt, years to fully decode. The cryptanalysts, many of them women, working in shifts, staring at columns of numbers, make progress one letter at a time. By 1946, they have decrypted fragments of messages mentioning code names: Liberal Antenna Caliber, Goose Rest. The names mean nothing yet, but the content is clear. Soviet intelligence has penetrated the Manhattan Project. The FBI is notified. They begin investigating, slowly, carefully. They cannot reveal Venona. If the Soviets learn their codes are broken, they will change them. The entire operation will collapse. The FBI must find the spies without exposing how they know. By 1948, Venona analysts make a breakthrough. One cable, sent in 1944, references an American scientist working at Los Alamos. The codename REST. The message describes technical details about the plutonium bomb. Details only a handful of people would know. The FBI cross-references the information. They narrow the list of suspects. British intelligence is notified. In September 1949, they identify Klaus Fuchs. December 21, 1949. Harwell Atomic Research Establishment, England. An MI5 officer named William Scarden sits down with Klaus Fuchs in a small office. Scarden is polite, calm. He does not threaten, he does not accuse. He simply says, "Dr. Fuchs, we know you passed information to Soviet intelligence while working on the Manhattan Project. We would like to hear your side of the story." Fuchs does not deny it. He does not demand a lawyer. He does not act surprised. He says, "Yes, I provided information to the Soviet Union. I believed it was necessary to prevent a monopoly on atomic weapons." Scarden is stunned. Confessions like this do not happen. Spies fight, lie, stall. But Fuchs is different. He is not ashamed. He is not afraid. He believes he did the right thing. Over the next several weeks, Fuchs provides a detailed confession. He describes his recruitment by Soviet intelligence in 1941, his meetings with handlers in New York and Santa Fe, the information he provided, the methods he used, and he names his courier, Harry Gold. The FBI receives the information on February 3, 1950. They begin searching for Gold immediately. Gold's real name is known. His address is known. But the FBI does not have enough evidence to arrest him. They need a confession. They need corroboration. They need to be smart. May 22, 1950, Philadelphia. Two FBI agents knock on Harry Gold's door. He opens it. Middle-aged man, glasses, thinning hair. Looks like an accountant. The agents identify themselves. They say they are investigating Klaus Fuchs. They ask if Gold knows him. Gold says no. They ask if he has ever been to New Mexico. Gold says no. They ask if they can search his apartment. Gold hesitates, then says yes. He thinks he has been careful. He thinks he has covered his tracks. He is wrong. The agents search for 3 hours. They find a map of Santa Fe in a drawer, a receipt from an Albuquerque hotel dated June 1945, a train ticket stub to New Mexico. Gold watches his alibi disintegrate. The agents ask him to come to the Philadelphia field office, just to talk, just to clarify. Gold agrees. He thinks he can still lie his way out. The interrogation lasts 6 hours. The agents do not threaten. They do not shout. They simply present the evidence. The map, the receipt, the ticket, the timeline. They tell him Klaus Fuchs has already confessed. They tell him Fuchs named him as his courier. Gold's hands shake. He asks for water. He asks for a cigarette. The agents wait. Finally, Gold speaks. "I want to cooperate. I want to help. But I need assurances." The agents lean forward. "Tell us everything. The more you help, the more we can help you." Gold begins talking, and he does not stop for 72 hours. He describes his recruitment by Soviet intelligence in 1935, his work as a courier for 15 years, his meetings with Klaus Fuchs, his trips to Albuquerque, and he names David Greenglass. He describes the Jell-O box recognition signal, the apartment on High Street, the sketches David provided. The FBI now has the next link in the chain. June 15, 1950, New York. FBI agents arrest David Greenglass at his machine shop on the Lower East Side. He is 30 years old. He has 2 young children. He is trying to build a normal life. That life ends today. David is taken to the FBI field office in Manhattan. He is placed in an interrogation room. He sits alone for 2 hours. No one speaks to him. No one offers him water. The silence is deliberate, psychological. When the agents finally enter, they do not introduce themselves. They sit down. They open a file folder. One agent says, "David, we know what you did at Los Alamos. Harry Gold has told us everything. Klaus Fuchs has told us everything. We have the dates, the meetings, the documents. You cannot lie your way out of this." David's face goes white. The agent continues, "You have 2 choices. You can cooperate, tell us who recruited you, who you gave the information to. Or you can go to trial, face the death penalty, leave your wife and children with nothing. David asks, if I cooperate, what happens? The agent says, that depends on what you tell us, and how useful it is. David does not hesitate. Not really. He is not ideological. He is not brave. He is terrified. He says, it was Julius Rosenberg, my brother-in-law. He recruited me. He gave me money. He set up the meetings. The agents write everything down. David continues. Ethel knew. She typed some of the messages, but Julius was the one who ran everything. The agent asks, are you willing to testify? David nods. Yes, I will testify. Just do not give me the death penalty. Please. The FBI now has what they need. July 17, 1950. Knickerbocker Village, Lower East Side, New York. Julius Rosenberg is sitting at the kitchen table, reading the newspaper. His two sons, Michael and Robert, are playing in the living room. There is a knock at the door. Julius opens it. 6 FBI agents. They show their badges. Julius Rosenberg, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit espionage. Julius does not resist. He does not speak. He asks for a lawyer. He is handcuffed in front of his sons. Michael is 7 years old. He watches his father taken away. He does not understand. Ethel is not arrested. Not yet. The FBI does not have enough evidence against her. They have David's testimony that she typed messages. But typing is not espionage. They need more. They decide to wait. They think arresting Ethel will pressure Julius. They think he will break. They think he will confess to save his wife. They are wrong. August 11, 1950. FBI agents return to the Rosenberg apartment. This time, they arrest Ethel, in front of her children. Michael and Robert watch their mother handcuffed. They scream. They cry. Ethel does not look back. The boys are sent to live with their grandmother. They will not see their parents outside a prison visiting room for the next 3 years. March 6, 1951. United States District Court, Southern District of New York. The trial of Julius and Ethel Rosenberg begins. It will last 23 days. The prosecution is led by Irving Sapol, U.S. Attorney for the Southern District. He is aggressive, confident. He frames the case not just as espionage, but as treason against the American people. In his opening statement, Sapol says, the evidence will show that the loyalty and allegiance of the Rosenbergs was not to our country, but to the Soviet Union. While American soldiers were dying on foreign battlefields, the Rosenbergs were stealing the secrets that would allow the Soviet Union to unleash atomic war against us. The defense is led by Emanuel Bloch. He argues this is a political prosecution, anti-communist hysteria, a frame-up. He says, the government has no physical evidence, no documents, no photographs, no proof that anything the Rosenbergs allegedly passed actually reached the Soviet Union. This case is built on the testimony of a confessed spy trying to save himself. He is right about the physical evidence. The documents are in Moscow. The Soviets are not giving them back. But the jury does not need physical evidence. They have witnesses. Harry Gold testifies for 2 days. He describes his meetings with Klaus Fuchs, his trips to Albuquerque, his meetings with David Greenglass, his delivery of documents to Soviet handlers. He is calm, precise, detailed. The jury believes him. David Greenglass testifies for 3 days. He describes Julius recruiting him, the Jell-O box recognition signal, the sketches he made of the implosion lens, the money he received. He describes Ethel typing Julius's notes into clean reports to send to the Soviets. Emanuel Bloch attacks him on cross-examination. You are testifying against your own sister to save yourself. You made a deal with the government. You are lying to avoid the death penalty. David does not flinch. I am telling the truth. I am trying to save my family. The jury believes him. Julius and Ethel both testify in their own defense. They deny everything. Julius says he is being persecuted for his political beliefs. He invokes the Fifth Amendment when asked about Communist Party membership. Ethel says she knew nothing about espionage. She typed letters for Julius's business. Nothing more. The prosecution destroys them on cross-examination. Paul asks Julius, "Did you ever discuss your work with David Greenglass?" Julius says, "I refuse to answer on the grounds it may incriminate me." Paul asks Ethel, "Did you type documents for your husband?" Ethel says, "I may have typed some business correspondence." Paul, "Did you know what those documents contained?" Ethel, "I do not recall. The jury does not believe them." March 29, 1951. The jury deliberates for less than 1 day. They return with a verdict: guilty on all counts, conspiracy to commit espionage. April 5, 1951. Sentencing. Judge Irving Kaufman does not hesitate. He sentences both Julius and Ethel Rosenberg to death. He says, "I consider your crime worse than murder. Plain, deliberate, contemplated murder is dwarfed in magnitude by comparison with the crime you have committed. In committing the act of murder, the criminal kills only his victim. The immediate family is brought to grief, and others are brought to grief, and others are brought to suffer as a result of the loss. But it is to the past, not the future, that the criminal looks. In committing the crime of espionage, you have given the Soviet Union the A-bomb years before our scientists predicted. You have altered the course of history to the disadvantage of our country. You have put into the hands of the Russians the means to destroy this nation. You have given them the means to wipe out 50,000 more American boys in Korea. And who knows but that millions more of innocent people may pay the price of your treason." Julius and Ethel show no emotion. They are taken back to their cells. For 2 years, the Rosenbergs appeal. Their lawyers file motion after motion. District Court, Circuit Court, Supreme Court. Every appeal is denied. Legal scholars debate the case. Some argue the sentence is excessive. No one else in American history has been executed for espionage during peacetime. Others argue the Rosenbergs endangered national security during a global crisis. Public opinion is divided. Some see them as traitors who deserve to die. Others see them as victims of Cold War hysteria. Protests erupt in Europe. Jean-Paul Sartre calls the case a legal lynching. Pope Pius XII asks President Eisenhower for clemency. Eisenhower refuses. He issues a statement: "I can only say that, by immeasurably increasing the chances of atomic war, the Rosenbergs may have condemned to death tens of millions of innocent people all over the world." The execution of 2 human beings is a grave matter. But even graver is the thought of the millions of dead whose deaths may be directly attributable to what these spies have done. June 19, 1953. Sing Sing Prison, Ossining, New York. The Rosenbergs spend their final day in separate cells. They are not allowed to see each other. Ethel writes a letter to her sons. "Always remember that we were innocent and could not wrong our conscience. We press you to your hearts and kiss you with all our strength." Julius writes, "We are innocent. That is the whole truth. To forsake this truth is to pay too high a price, even for the priceless gift of life." 8 p.m. Julius Rosenberg is led into the execution chamber. He is 35 years old. He wears a white shirt, prison trousers. No belt, no shoes. He is strapped into the electric chair. Electrodes are attached to his head and leg. A black hood is placed over his face. The warden asks if he has any final words. Julius says nothing. The switch is thrown. 2,000 volts. Julius Rosenberg is pronounced dead at 8:06 p.m. Ethel is brought in next. She is 37 years old. She wears a dark green dress. Her face is pale but composed. She is strapped into the chair. The hood is placed over her face. The switch is thrown. But Ethel does not die immediately. Her heart is still beating. The executioner throws the switch again and again. After the third jolt, Ethel Rosenberg is pronounced dead at 8:16 p.m. They are the only American civilians ever executed for espionage, September 1949. 4 years before the Rosenberg execution, the Soviet Union detonates its first atomic bomb, codenamed First Lightning. The test takes place at Semipalatinsk, Kazakhstan. American intelligence detects the blast through atmospheric radiation sampling. President Truman announces it to the public on September 23. American scientists are shocked. They projected the Soviets would not have a bomb until 1953 at the earliest. Some said 1955. But they have it in 1949. Why? Because of Klaus Fuchs. Because of David Greenglass. Because of Julius Rosenberg. Because of the entire network. The intelligence they provided did not give the Soviets the bomb. Soviet scientists were brilliant. They would have built it eventually. But the espionage saved them at least 4 years, possibly more. 4 years means the Korean War is fought with the Soviets possessing atomic weapons. The arms race begins sooner. The Cold War hardens faster. The balance of terror is established earlier. The world changes permanently. David Greenglass serves 10 years in federal prison. He is released in 1960. He lives under an assumed name in Queens. He gives one television interview in 1996. He dies in 2014 at the age of 92. In 2001, he admits he lied about Ethel. He says, "I frankly think my wife put that in there. I think she was the one who said that Ethel had to be placed in it. My wife is more important to me than my sister." Ethel Rosenberg was executed based on false testimony. Harry Gold serves 15 years. He is released in 1965. He works as a hospital technician in Philadelphia. He dies of heart failure in 1972. Almost no one attends his funeral. Klaus Fuchs serves 9 years in a British prison. He is released in 1959. He moves to East Germany, where he becomes deputy director of the Institute for Nuclear Research. He continues working on nuclear physics until his retirement in 1979. He dies in 1988 at the age of 76. He never expresses regret. In his final interview he says, "I had to do it. The Americans could not be allowed to have a monopoly." Julius and Ethel's sons, Michael and Robert, are adopted by the Mirapol family. They take the last name Mirapol. They spend decades fighting to clear their parents' names. In 2008, new evidence emerges. Declassified Soviet intelligence files confirm Julius Rosenberg was an active spy. The files confirm he recruited David Greenglass. They confirm he passed military technology to the Soviets. But the files also confirm Ethel was not a recruiter. She was not a courier. She knew about Julius's activities, but she did not actively participate. She was executed to pressure Julius, and the pressure failed. The Venona project remains classified until 1995. When the decrypts are finally released, they confirm what the FBI always knew: the Manhattan Project was penetrated, deeply, systematically, from 1942 to 1946. The decrypts identified dozens of Soviet sources inside the U.S. government, military, and scientific institutions. Most were never caught. Most were never prosecuted. They simply disappeared when the heat got too close. But the Rosenbergs did not disappear. They were caught. They were tried. They were convicted. And they died believing they had done the right thing. The Rosenberg case changes America. It accelerates the Red Scare. It validates Senator Joseph McCarthy's claims that communists have infiltrated the government. It creates a climate of suspicion and paranoia that lasts for a decade. It also changes American counterintelligence. The FBI creates new procedures for investigating espionage, new surveillance techniques, new interrogation methods. The lessons learned from catching the Rosenberg network are applied to every major spy case for the next 50 years. But the most important legacy is this. The case proves that espionage has consequences. Real consequences. Not just for the spies, not just for the victims, but for the entire world. Klaus Fuchs, David Greenglass, and Julius Rosenberg believed they were preventing war. They believed sharing atomic secrets would create balance. They believed no single nation should control such power. They were wrong. Their espionage did not prevent war. It accelerated the arms race. It created a world where two superpowers pointed thousands of nuclear weapons at each other for 40 years. It created the doctrine of mutually assured destruction. Millions of people lived in fear of nuclear annihilation because of what a few idealists thought was righteous. The FBI caught them. The evidence was overwhelming. The trial was fair by the standards of the time. The verdict was correct. But was the sentence just? Should Ethel Rosenberg have died? Should Julius? Those questions remain unanswered, debated, contested. What is not debated is this: they were spies. They betrayed their country. They stole the most important secret in history, and they handed it to a totalitarian regime that would use it to threaten the world. The FBI stopped them, eventually, but by then the damage was done. The game ended, not with a bullet, but with evidence. The FBI did not stop the spies before the Soviets got the bomb, but they caught them. They prosecuted them. They held them accountable. In a basement in Arlington, cryptanalysts broke codes one letter at a time. In Philadelphia, a courier cracked under pressure. In New York, a brother betrayed his sister to save himself. And in Sing Sing, on a June night in 1953, 2 people died for their beliefs. Truth mattered then. It matters now. Subscribe before this file disappears.